Hello and welcome back to the Michigan Disc Golf Hall of Fame Classic, brought to you by Crew 42. It is 2021's coverage of the Hall of Fame. Super excited to be here. We are at Bluegill Course, and on the commentator's mic, I've got Matt with me. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well today. How are you, Zach?
I'm doing great. Super excited to be here at one of Michigan's best courses, favorite local course. If you've never been here, you definitely need to check it out. This is an alternate layout, and we've got four great shooters, starting off with Patrick Burke. He's been on the coverage before. Don't let him trick you. He's a great putter, great thrower, and he had shredded in in round one at Oshtemo, along with Kyle Opfer, out-of-towner, but looking to shoot hot at this A tier.
And for the last two, we got two Grand Rapids legends. We have Dan Treece.
I love me some Dan.
Who doesn't? The man. And John Perry. These two have shown the youth the way around the disc golf game in the Grand Rapids area.
They've been around a long time, and I'm happy to see them back on coverage again. Huge shout out as well to Brian Vanderwall for helping record at this event. I was shorter cameraman. He stepped up big time. We have hole one here, Matt. What's going on?
We got a 475-foot hole, beautiful starting hole to this heaven on earth course that we have in Michigan. It is downhill, so it plays probably closer to 420, but it is tight. Being in the middle of the fairway is ideal. You don't need to necessarily push off too much distance because the two is doable, but very rare.
Yeah, and like you said, it's pretty open in the first, I would say, 200 feet. And you see Pat here kind of cutting to the right side. A lot of people throw something flippier to try to attack that gap, but if you don't hit it just right, it's going to be a 3 no matter what. I think 2 is a bonus score here for sure.
Agree totally. A very common play is going to be a neutral fairway or driver and kind of hang it on the left side, let it turn in to the right side and finish in the middle.
Yeah, Kyle here in a good spot. This is a pretty typical landing spot where Kyle was with something a little more stable. He's going to have an open backhand, little hyzer approach shot. Dan, who's probably one of the best spin putters in Michigan, would you agree, Matt? Or do you think? I think he's probably the best.
Easily top tier putter and one of the most consistent golfers we have in the state of Michigan. Rain, shine, snow, or rain, the man is very, very consistent.
For sure. John looking, he's a little high here. That tree catches most discs. You really got to push way right if you want to try to spin around it. So a lot of these guys are going to be in the short, kind of this fair opening here where you see Dan throwing, and that's a great upshot from
Beautiful shot. The second shot, if you don't get off the tee box, is very crucial. This being a 1.5 to 2 shot hole, it's a tight window to get into the basket. There's really 2 walls of trees you need to pass. The first one's at about, I would say, 150, 200 feet. And then you get to the basket, there's another wall of skinny trees that it's about the 50 mark. So getting to the basket is a great feeling.
And on top of that, you can see where John's going right now. There is a drop off, and there's several holes like that. They use the elevation really well, that if you happen to push too far deep, you'll find yourself past the basket, and John has done just that.
The course designer, Joe Gill, not only the nicest man in the world, but you'll find a pattern with his basket placements to be a couple shot swings, honestly, a couple right off the edge to where you miss that putt and the other person makes it. It's going to definitely be a two shot swing.
Yeah, the bold will definitely take strokes as long as they're on. But if you're bold and miss, you're losing strokes for sure. John from way down the hill is a great shot up there by the basket. He's going to get his 4 there. Dan looking to take his par.
Bam, back to that spin putt. We call that the 7th spot. It always catches. Low left is a good spot to hit.
Yes, today on this particular hole, there were exactly 2 birdies.
Really? Do we have the names?
We do. We have Adam Marbs and Jason. I'm not going to pretend to pronounce his last name because I can't do it.
Still, congrats. It's a great 2.
Yeah, Jason S. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your last name. I won't even pretend to slaughter it. I'll just recognize it right now. I can't do it. But pretty typical scores there.
We moved from hole 1 to hole 2, which could arguably be one of the signatures here at Bluegill. It is a 360-foot, dead straight, beautiful shot. I'm talking OB on the left side. During the Hall of Fame, was there OB on the right?
I don't think there was. I think they removed the OB on the right side, but normally it has been that in the past.
which makes this a very daunting and scary hole, but absolutely beautiful.
I think most of these players, I mean, realistically, the way you throw this hole, you assume that it's OB anyway, because going early right is not a good shot.
No.
And yeah,
And put into consideration that it is uphill most of the way.
it
You
is.
you don't calculate that, but it is slightly uphill. Definitely off the tee box as well.
Yeah, and it's a hole that these guys definitely think that they can hit. Even though it's 360, this is a hole that you want to get your birdie on. You feel like you're losing strokes to the leading kind of card on this field, and Dan is putting himself in a beautiful position for a birdie look.
Mastered. Let's not take away how great Dan Treece plays bluegill.
Yeah, he loves this course.
It's a happy spot for him.
Patrick Burke now throwing really low, and he's going to hit that. What is that? It's a wheel bearing. I don't even know what to call it.
It's an old wheel from like a wagon wheel, but
Yeah.
it sits about 65, 70 feet from the basket. So hitting that, you're not mad about it, but it's going to give you a long circle two, if not outside circle two putt.
Yep, and there's the danger from John there. A little low can put you right into that hill. As long as you crest that first hill, is pretty flat past that point. His second shot here is going to be a little higher, and he will be pushing through a little brush right next to Dan there.
For sure. Good upshot. This is that wheel that's going to put you, like I said, about 50 to 60 feet. It might be closer than that.
He got a forward skip off of his kick. That angle favored him, and Pat's going to bang this. It definitely outside circle, though.
Definitely.
Kyle in the similar position here. And he's also going to cash 2 great putts to start this tournament. And these guys, hot off of Ashtimo, are looking to continue that streak here. Actually plays as the second easiest hole on the day.
Interesting.
According to par 3s. I think they're all listed as par 3s, though. Which some of these are not. We'll see them for sure. So I might have to take that one back, depending on what. We'll see. I'll do some math in my head as we get to the holes.
It would make sense, but there is still that OB left that could, 2-shot swing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you just said the last one. It definitely feels like a signature. Every time you go there, you remember it. But I think this one might be the signature of the course.
Daunting. They call it the bowling alley. This is to date, the hardest hole per stroke on the course. It can be anywhere from a 10 to a 1. Your goal is to hit the gap. It's about not even 6 feet wide, and carry that disc as straight as you can.
Yeah, if you really don't have... I've seen lots of people. Marbeat will throw a forehand. You can see Kyle here between discs here. It's just about what can you get farthest down the fairway. If you hit the gap, you get that birdie look, but there's so much danger. OB on the left, and he's got to sit down. It looks like he didn't go OB there, but he will be right by it.
He's going to be very close to the OB line.
And that's an early kick means he still has to throw down another type of fairway. It's not an easy shot from there. And Dan says, let me just hit the pole.
What a veteran. What a shot.
Yeah, I would, 2 feet taller would have been a nice ace.
On channel would be pretty awesome, but I would take that shot as well.
Yes, I completely agree. Patrick going left here. And the OB does end early, so it doesn't run its way all the way along that wood line. So right near, I'd say like 20 feet short of the end of the woods, it does jet off left, so it opens back up. So if you push deep enough, even if you kick left like John is doing here, he's actually in front of the OB, so he's not in the OB area anymore.
Mm-hmm. This is a very challenging up and down. To save your 3 from here is almost impossible is not the word I want to use, but very close to that.
Yeah,
you can see that anything happens, he kicks straight OB. Now he's shooting 5.
Yeah, just like that. I think this is 4, right?
Yeah.
And so there he goes again, back left, but he's in front of the OB now, so he thankfully doesn't take a second OB stroke. Pretty normal landing spot if you don't hit the initial gap, and John nearly with a kick and deuce.
He threw a good shot. So when you do throw a good shot and the disc carries far enough, opening up that OB does make this hole playable in a sense.
Oh, good bid from Kyle here too. couple good bids from long range here. Pat's the last one from range, looking to get that birdie.
And not losing a stroke to Dan.
Oh, and I completely forgot about this. That tree is right in his range, and I think right as he was releasing it, I think he just nicked it. So he's going to scatter off a little early and right there, but close enough for him to clean up a par, not take really a whole lot of damage. The hole actually averaged averaging 3.32 on the day. Playing pretty difficult, I would say.
Dan tapping in a strokes on a lot of folks, honestly. The two, it's there, but it still requires close to perfection.
Yeah, only 12 people in the field getting a birdie here. And I would say at least twice as many, according to these stats, taking the bogey or worse. So definitely gaining strokes on people. Here's the first par 4, hole 4, 710 feet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but you're really just looking to get your first shot in right where this post is, where the shorts are. A little further than that is ideal, which will open up this gap more into your second shot. There is OB on the left side, so if you throw the backhand, you have to be aware of those hyzers. And if you turn it over, there's a lot of woods that can add strokes. And then that rock garden in front of the basket is also OB, which means your approach shot also is in danger of taking strokes if you don't get over that.
A very challenging par 4 for the locals and the league members of Bluegill. This course by the course designer was made into a 2-shot hole, and you can see Dan is landing what we call the boob or the nipple, is where you want to land your disc to approach for your second shot.
Yeah, right in that little pocket.
Yep. You can, if you see the T sign, it's actually quite funny.
So we have,
you see Burke ripping on a backhand, which very common. The only major mistake is turning the backhand over too far right. The woods on the right is very unfriendly.
Yeah, John throwing this, I think, just past me as the catch cam guy. That's a really good spot because the long grass really doesn't impede your run up at all. It just kind of hides your disc a little bit.
Right.
And Kyle throwing that low as well, just like Pat did. And they'll be short and back. It's going to be a very difficult approach from here because you kind of cut off your angle. But
a good shot is hanging your backhand out way, like hyzering out left, so it gives you that hyzer approach. Otherwise, you're throwing a 350-foot dead straight shot, which to me is a very challenging shot.
Absolutely. And Dan, I mean, how far Dan left is, but as forward as John Perry is, would probably be the ideal landing spot.
Agreed, totally.
And Kyle was early woods but got kicked out, and Pat was early woods but he got kicked into it. So that's a dangerous spot for him. We'll see if he'll be able to scramble up and down from there to save a 4. Dan here looking to kind of get himself in position for a birdie. Yeah.
A very good second shot.
Yeah, just outside circle. John,
did we mention that rock garden is OB as well with the pond in it?
Yes, and so it is OB. And John looking to carry that as well. And hits that skinny tree just past the rock garden. He's going to leave himself with a long circle 2 look as well. Yeah, this is not a good spot for Pat.
This is the right side woods. It stretches the whole way.
Wow, and he had a great out from that spot. He's going to have a tap in almost for his par. Kyle with that push out of the woods, he's also just going to lay up right by the basket. He'll have that for his par look.
Treat for his birdie.
Yeah, Dan wants this and was definitely running it, but he's going to be inside circle there, probably 20 feet or so for his par look. And John with a chance to get those strokes back from earlier. There we go, John.
Good putt.
Yeah, the whole plays averages as 4.13, so just a little over that par 4, which we're kind of labeling it as. Dan with the cleanup. Yeah, Dan easy cleanup. No doubt about it.
That 3 is very tough.
Yeah, it just requires 2 shots that have no forgiveness. Like you have to hit them. They're not even like small gaps or unfair gaps. It's just like you have to land it in a good left spot without going OB, and then you have to hit a smaller gap and over an OB to put it in circle, and then you have to make your putt. And it's definitely not easy. And this is now hole 5. This is one of the new holes for the event. So normally you play 5 and 6. So we're off, not on 5's pad. We're actually on 5's fairway, cutting into 6 fairway over their tee pad right now. First shot, underneath the tree level, trying to just get as much distance and push left. Then your next shot, you want to attack either, if you have the forehand, wide left and into this circle here. Be careful though, we're back to one of those backdrops with the hill. And if you go over it, you're gaining at least 1 stroke, possibly 2, depending on how far you go.
This is a new hole to most Michiganders at this point.
I think it's the first ever.
I would agree. I think so. And the reviews, I mean, were good. I never got a chance to see them or play them, but this looks fun.
Yeah, so this hole right here is, as the next hole as well, there are a few holes that were changed. So the course is normally 24 holes. They decided to take some of the holes out that they thought didn't fit the circuit very well, I think, and then combined a few holes to like increase the difficulty a little bit. And these are one of the holes I think was a pretty good adjustment here, to be honest. It requires you to hit a fair gap into the fairway and then have that second shot to kind of go around that oil rig to look yourself for a birdie. Kyle a little high and right here, needs to kiss out of the woods, and it does so. Ooh, sit. It's actually going to be under the oil rig. Not a good spot.
We got John Perry approaching. Speed control is very crucial. Like you mentioned earlier, this basket is on a stump, which is on the edge of a, let's say, 50-degree slope that will drop you all the way to his ponds, honestly. So speed control is crucial.
Yeah, and I'd say it's 70 feet down. It's huge.
I mean, yeah, and then your legs are toast for the rest of the round. So it's worth not doing it, I promise.
Yeah, you can even see Dan there kind of a little, aiming low to make sure he doesn't outrun the basket. Unfortunately, cuts early and then rolls around so he can have a really long death putt look for his birdie. And Pat cuts early into the woods, and he's also going to have a long putt. We can see Kyle's lie here. So there was some question about relief from this. And so the card's trying to figure that out. They decided he was able to kind of get this stance here safely.
That used to be OB. It used to be actually roped off.
Yeah, it wasn't roped off for this tournament. I'm not sure why it was not roped off this particular year. Ooh, Pat's running it. Ooh, that would have been so good.
You can see all the way at the bottom of that hill, the light through the trees is he's got 2 and 1 extremely large pond back there.
1,000 rated IQ here from Dan, having no business with that 70-foot runner for a death putt. And John also saying not worth it. He's just gonna lay up, take the easy putt.
It even makes some of the best putters in Michigan nervous.
Kyle says he's not scared. He's going to actually convert the birdie there, which means we only have 3 last tap-ins here for par. The hole actually averages as 3.76, so our card is actually averaging perfectly what the field did. 1 birdie, 3 pars overall for the course of the event for this day at least. Hole 6 here. Matt, I'm going to let you react to this one as we go. 780 feet. We're combining 2 holes again. That lifted basket is not there. We're actually throwing through that the gap of the next tee pad. What's your game plan? What are you doing here?
Well, let's say in the OG course, that elevated basket is a full pull for even some of the biggest arms. To get a 2 on the original hole is a big throw. So I imagine pushing the disc far enough to get you a vision through that tight tunnel that you saw is going to be a task in itself. So I see this being a pretty hard par 4.
Yeah, so most of these guys are going to be looking, I think, to push, just like you said, a max distance throw. And I think you want to be a little left because you're going through that gap where the drone went, and you're looking to kind of if you can, get that backhand so you can throw something with a turnover to attack the basket. All the stuff on the left side where Joe normally marks OB and the gardens are still in effect, so don't want to go left once you get through that gap. And the main cam was not there to catch that first person throwing, but they were by the basket, those fenced in like tree areas. He didn't land in it, thankfully, but he is going to be by one and might obstruct his run up a little bit. John landing in a pretty traditional spot, and Dan looking to kind of make moves here. He needs to push a little forward. He'll be short back. He might be playing this 4-4, just like kind of barely getting through the gap and then getting up and down from there, but we'll see what he does. This also needs to get in the air.
Putting his body behind that shot.
Yeah, Pat like commits to everything that he does. It's a full swing every time he throws.
A very low ceiling backhand. It's going to be a very tough shot because the basket through that hole is still probably 260.
Yeah, more than that. I think it's like 285 for that pad, if I recall correctly. But Dan like doing exactly what I thought he was. He's just going to lay up through the gap and just plan to take a 4. Patrick getting a little more aggressive here, throwing something with turnover. He's going to land short and be right next to that Dan landing area. This is a good spot for John. Oh, and he's missed the gap. I don't remember where that lands, but you can see on his face he's disappointed not being able to execute that shot.
You can see how small the gap is, though.
Yeah, if you get too far left, the gap gets really skinny. Kyle laces this one. Yeah, and you can see even there, he hits the gap perfectly, but he still has a long look for his birdie. John going with the roller here. And it is veering left towards those gardens. It's not going to land in one. It's going to be by it. So he's going to be fortunate not to take an extra stroke there, but he'll have to lay up from there. Probably for a bogey for a 5.
Ooh. Good approach shot from Patrick.
Yeah, flirting with that OB road behind the basket. Dan here with a pretty standard hyzer approach shot. I imagine it's some form of a harp or stable putter of some kind, and he's put himself in circle beautifully. Yeah, and so he's landing it over by, you can see him, he's wedged right between two of the gardens, and so he got with the card to confirm that he was good. Get the necessary relief so he's not standing in OB, and then throwing up a nice upshot there. He'll be by that tree there, but close enough where I think he'll be able to convert that putt. Kyle from 80 feet with a good bid there. He's going to be right by the basket. Easy par for him.
This is for John's par?
Yes, I think so. Or bogey.
Good putt.
Yeah,
Bogey,
it's bogey. Because he missed the gap. He had to throw the roller out.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't take any more damage after missing the gap. Dan taking a par. Hole as an average played as 4.54. So
I figured it was going to be a pretty challenging par 4.
Yes, it was very, very difficult. In fact, only 4 people on the day successfully getting that, getting a par on it, getting 3 on it, according to par 3. So getting a 3 birdie.
Right, getting the birdie.
Including Bart Kowalski.
Hole 7 for the tournament, but hole 9 for the course is another signature. It's playing at about 200 feet straight downhill, that same hill that basket's sitting on. And the hill plays as OB, so you need to get down to the bottom. There's the pond on the left, which is also out of bounds. A lot of comfortable plays is drilling a backhand or a forehand just at the ground and have it hit and sit.
Just get it down the hill. Kyle,
it's a lot easier said than done. We'll say that.
Yeah, it sure is. I don't think I've successfully gotten it down that hill yet. I've only played it twice, and it's got my number for sure.
Dan's played it before. Yeah, he's played it a couple times.
Have you ever just like putted it down the hill?
I've seen Trevor Belfer, a couple people actually, but Trevor Belfer was the first one who's jump putted down the hill.
Okay.
I usually don't talk about myself, but I've aced this 3 times. one with an AVR and 2 times with a harp.
Oh my. Is it a good ace to get? Does it feel good to get it?
I mean, all aces feel good, but this one's it hits the chain louder because it's at the bottom of the hill, so the echo from the basket, to me, or I'm certain to others as well, is louder than normal. So it does feel good.
Oh. Now I have to feel like I have to go get it.
You can see this is the drop zone, so anything that doesn't make it to the bottom of the hill or falls in the pond proceeds to that drop zone, which is a beautifully laid, like, circular slab of concrete and a very comfortable putt in a sense, but it's still 45 feet.
Yeah, and thankfully Joe was not mean enough to put it in a worse spot because, I mean, like you said earlier, there's a lot of OB involved. He could have put that drop zone to put that OB in place, and it's really just not in play from that drop zone. So thankfully, it's a pretty free run from that spot.
Yep, he gives you the chance to make a good par save.
Dan waving at, I'd say the crowd, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that he's looking at that point.
He knows that he's played this hole a million times and he's getting strokes on a few people.
He sure was. Hole 8 now. This is a normal hole for the course. Matt, what do we got?
Hole 8, so hole 10 on the real course. It's double pond. A very common play is your mid-range, which kind of glides a buzz or something similar that would go straight towards that basket. There's a hill on the left, so the hyzer is the safe shot. This is a must-get birdie in my sense. You see Dan looks like he's throwing his warship probably.
Yep. A little low, but I think it's high enough to get over the second pond. It sure is. Nice park job. Patrick up next. Throwing a little higher here. Do you think that's the play to throw it into that tree line?
My play. That's the only scary part is the tree line that hits it and rolls it back to the water. But throwing a hyzer into the hillside is a very safe play. But it looks like John Perry's going with the mid-range.
Yeah, John's. And he had a great angle on it. Big skip there, but he'll have a putt back at the basket. And Kyle has lots of distance. He's a big thrower. Discmania sponsored. It feels like all the Discmania sponsored players go like throw real far.
They definitely have an eye for the big throwers.
Here's John from Circle's Edge, I'd say. Ooh, there's that 7 spot.
Yep, catches. The goofy thing about the hyzer, so if we do play the hyzer, on the hillside, you're slightly above the basket looking at the water. It seems like an uncomfortable putt in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact here, statistically, both hole 7, the previous hole, and this hole played exactly the same at 2.93 averages.
So close to par.
7 just had a lot more birdies, but it also had a lot more bogeys.
Makes sense. Your mistake with those 2 pond is holding something too straight.
Mm-hmm.
Signature and most photographed hole at Bluegill arguably is hole 9 for the tournament. This is hole 11 for the actual course, and it is a signature. You have about a 15-yard stretch of land going straight, so you can throw the backhand along the line or the forehand over the water, and then you have about 25 yards of land from the first pond to the back pond to land your disc.
I think it's Reed Friscura's favorite hole.
A lot of people go up with an understable or neutral fairway and kind of have it stall hyzer in a sense.
Just like Dan's trying to do.
But it's hard because you have to push that pine tree because that pine tree catches everything and puts it in the water.
Just like it did with Dan. Dang, man.
Exactly. I know. I should have said that before he threw it.
If you're looking at this hole and trying to remember where you've seen it from, so Pat just lays up. Pat doesn't even go for it. He just doesn't want to deal with this hole. We saw Dan throw this hole before, and he threw a turnover, and it landed in the boat that's in the pine tree on the far right.
You can see John Perry's throwing that turnover stall hyzer, but he pushes it too far, which is a common mistake if you don't get the disc high enough.
Mm-hmm. You're a forehand player here, right?
I learned to like the forehand. You can get actually a water skip into the
Yeah.
bank and usually have a putt. But for the longest time, when the forehand wasn't quite developed, it's that backhand stall hyzer.
Right, and Kyle looks like he's done that beautifully. He's going to have a putt as his birdie. Pat, not having anything to do with that water, is deciding to say he's going to take the easiest 3 he can on this hole and move right on.
I'm not mad about that play. You see Dan at the drop zone, but there are shots to do it. So at the lead card, you'd like to see it attempted.
Yeah. Dan giving that a run, just a touch low. John also from the drop zone. Yeah, in circle.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just waiting on Kyle here. He's a 25 feet or so. Oh. Right side. Not enough to catch, though. Got some tap-ins here to round out this hole. For hole 9 stats, we had several birdies that averaged 3.23, so over that par 3 rating. John here with the tap-in. And all we got left is Kyle to round up this first half of the round so far. Nothing crazy so far. Dan being the cleanest here except for this last hole. Almost getting that around the corner there. But these guys are trying to get as many as they can before they come back again for round 3. So good chance to kind of get that tester there to see where we're at. Thanks, Matt, for joining me for this round.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys on the back 9.